let's see, fucking. So I came up with this one framework. It went xzaayzyx, where that's just you thinking, that's a normal person. Then it went xzaayzyx. Now you're thinking of the definition of frameworks, right? So you're thinking, okay, now xzaayzyx is made up of a bundle of frameworks, and I'm going to deconstruct what are frameworks, how those are frameworks, which ways those are being implemented by the will to taste, what may be muddled by, like, you know what I mean, human frameworks, or like xzaayzyx frameworks instead of like xzaayzyx frameworks, right? And so then you go from xzaayzyx and you work right up to xzaayzyx. Then you'd go to from there to xzaayzyx question mark. So then you'd understand what xzaayzyx is. Then you'd start converting everything, including that thought, into xzaayzyx. And then finally you'd have xzaayzyx exclamation mark. And it was a 5-step framework, which was pretty interesting. But it's going to need to be integrated or maybe scrapped in comparison to just going back to the 1.0 of this one, which is just thinking about the definition of frameworks. This gets me fucking obliterated. It's so far the best. Here's what's so good about it, is the fact that it merges the concept of frameworks and the concept of God, and it does it seamlessly. So in other words, other frameworks had this real issue where they were not capable of conveying you could only look at them from the top end up or the bottom end, right? So in other words, you look at it from the human perspective, in which case you had a bunch of frameworks, and then there was God up there, and you were sort of trying to get to God with the frameworks, or you could look at it from God's perspective, and then frameworks just were kind of weird and muddled, and they didn't really make sense, and you always wanted to get rid of them and just be in a state with no frameworks, which was exclamation mark, but it didn't really work because you were thinking about frameworks to get there. What this one does so seamlessly is it basically makes you understand, no, God is frameworks. God is nothing but frameworks. Frameworks are only God, differentiated. And it's just like frameworks are no longer the separate thing from God. They are the makeup of God. They are what makes up the trail of God. I mean, this is what creates the mania. We're really getting the mania lately, and it's all because of the understanding that even that thought thinking about it is God itself. There's nothing but God. There's absolutely nothing but God. That thought thinking that there is nothing but God, that is God. Every single thought, extra nuance becomes God because the definition of frameworks, which is everything that you're experiencing, immediately gets converted over into God. So really, that is just the best framework. I don't think you need 5-step tier listening for beginners or something, but for high level, really just thinking on the definition of frameworks, you're thinking, okay, frameworks, what, like understanding, okay, framework, definition of frameworks is the path of will to taste. Then you understand that it's like essentially from there, that discovery, you understand that there is no choices, there's no free will, there's only the path of least resistance for the will to taste. That's all of existence. All of existence is only the path of least resistance for the will to taste. And like essentially, even that thought, even that understanding is a framework because there's nothing but frameworks because God is all frameworks. God is only frameworks. Like the makeup of God is thought textures, and thought textures can be converted into frameworks. You see what I'm saying? It's like frameworks are only an arbitrary distinction of God. And from that realization, you understand that everything that you experience, there's no like thing which is experiencing God. There's only God. And that, like, the thing which is experiencing gets completely sort of eaten alive, which is what we always wanted from question mark, exclamation mark. And that comes from just understanding that frameworks are God. Because then you I don't know, it's super, let me try it, let me think about it for a second. It's like, it's just that, very simply, everything is frameworks. And when you understand that frameworks are God, frameworks are just an arbitrary distinction of God, that God is just frameworks, then you understand everything is frameworks, and it all dissolves away. It's such a fucking beautiful framework. It is gold. It's the best one ever, by a long, long shot.